Hey, sports fans, welcome on in. It's the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. So glad you could join us and be a part of our show. We love doing this every day. Please subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. Got a fun one for you today for sure. The Olympics is just wrapped up. The NFL is now in its, its next phase. There's always a phase. The NFL goes through phases. I'm going through a phase right now. And this phase, of course, is free agency. Combine's coming up. Players trying to figure out where they're going to go. The teams have to make tough decisions, and still some decisions to be made about players and who they keep, who they don't keep. So that'll be a lot of fun. Also, former Outland Trophy Super Bowl winning defensive lineman from the Washington Redskins, Cincinnati Bengals, Jason Buckle, join us in the second hour. So a lot to look forward to. But, of course, we start things off here with none other than the hot headlines of the day. I don't think there's anything hotter than the U.S. men's and, of course, the women's as well, winning hockey. Interesting thing about the Olympics this year, this is the most, I believe, gold medals that the U.S. has actually won in any of its Olympics. So it was a historic. It's weird. It's kind of felt like it was a disappointing Olympics in some degrees, but the U.S. Represented itself very well. Of course, the Norwegians, they win everything in the winter in their small country of 5 million people. It's just fascinating how they win all these medals. But they're born, they're bred, and they're built for Olympic gold success, and good for them. So this hockey thing with the U.S., first time that the men have won hockey since 1980. And I will tell you, watching that as a kid growing, that was just one of the most exciting things to happen. It was such a pivotal part of our country's existence. It really kind of gave hope. Of course, Al Michaels' "Do you believe in miracles" was just, one of those phrases that's just absolutely iconic. The movie Miracle, actually, which I watched recently, is one of those movies, when you have a movie where you're just like, I can watch this over and over. It never gets boring. You're always like, I was on pins and needles. Like, are they going to win? Are they going to pull this out? And even though the victory, and that's a great movie. So a big win for the U.S. and of course it further stimulates the rivalry between the Canadians. I think it's funny that we have a rivalry with Canada because Canada is just really nice. And the people are nice in Canada. And although there's just some not good blood there between the U.S. and Canadian teams, of course, Jack Hughes, who scored the winning goal, had just this, he had to have his teeth knocked out. Is definitely a hockey player. It was really an awesome moment. Martin, you watched it. You got up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I watched the highlights. I just like, because if they lose, I don't want to watch. So it's just like, give me, they won. So I go through this, 8-10 minute hockey highlight. Of course, you can find anywhere on the internet, and which I did. But it was great to watch, and maybe I'll go watch the whole entire game. But you watched it from start to finish. What were your impressions of the game?
My impressions were that it was an amazing game to watch. Being that I was not born when 1980 happened, you had the pleasure of watching that game happen. I was born in 96, so a little bit almost 20 years later. I watched 2010 though. That was in Vancouver, and I watched Sidney Crosby put one past Jonathan Quick to end the 2010 game to give them the golden goal that they haven't won in like 50 years when Canada won it in 2010. Right. And that was a heartbreaker for a 13-year-old that was so excited to watch Team USA win a gold in hockey. And they did it again to me. They had to fight against Canada. It was a hard fought game. The first period, it was a game where America took control, went up 1-0 on the U.S. On top of Canada, controlled that momentum. Second period, was Canada all over the place. 19-8 shots on goal. They had a 5-on-3 penalty situation there. They were storming it. onto the Team USA. Connor Hellebuck, the goaltender for US yesterday, he held it down yesterday, Scott. I mean, 41 shots blocked out of 42 attempts, just pure magic by a goaltender. I mean, that's an absurd amount of shots that you take on any moment in a game. And then to steal the game in the third period, Nathan McKinnon for Canada misses an open net. Devon Tays misses an open net in the third period as well. USA comes out in the overtime 3-on-3. They get a breakaway. It's 3-on-1 back into Canada's opposing end. And then Jack Hughes just puts it right between the 5-hole, right between Binnington's two pads and ends it. And, we talked about it on our old show, Scott, when it happened with the Four Nations on how heartbreaking that was for Team USA. To get some revenge a year later, with Connor Hellebuck, who got embarrassed in that game against Canada in that Four Nations. It was really, really a monumental moment for Team USA. 46 years since 1980 when we beat Soviet Union in that game. And, yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch. I got up 5:45. I sat there for 15 minutes trying to keep my eyes awake.
You're dedicated, man.
I was dedicated.
Yeah.
I was dedicated.
Got it going.
And at 9:15, it was over. 3.5 hours. I enjoyed it, and I took a 2-hour nap right afterwards. And I woke up going, man, what a game to watch. What a reason to wake up at 6 a.m.
Well, there's a lot of things that I really like about this. I like about this part of the Olympics is you have a lot of players. You mentioned the Four Nations tournament and how compelling that was, and that was the all-star version for the NHL. And a lot of these players, I believe almost all of them are professional hockey players. And it's a sport that they get after it. They don't care. They don't care where it is, what it is. The absolute jubilation from the American team after they won, like just the pure joy of all of it. And that those are the things that I actually really appreciate and like. And so many people, and we live in a country where people have their agency to, to speak their mind and to say how they feel. And some people, weren't really crazy about representing the United States, which I think for most Americans kind of doesn't sit well. I'm sure there's certain people that relate to that, but I think most people are like, look, drop your politics, drop everything. This is our country. These are those moments that are designed to bring us together. And that was what was so great about the 1980 hockey game. And quite frankly, it was what I really, really liked about this hockey game was that it was one of those moments. And for whatever reason, like I said, I think it's funny that we're in this rivalry with Canada, but hey, I think we need to lean into it and get after it. And it was a remarkable performance. You get a hot goalie, you can win a lot of games. And hockey's one of those kind of rip your heart out type of sports, like you mentioned, the open net shots, and it's like, oh man, I missed, and it just, or someone hits a post or something, and that's what makes hockey so compelling, is it's just so freaking hard to score goals, and it's just such a challenge when you're trying to win that. I think of my time as a hockey fan, and especially when I was in Detroit and the Red Wings, and they lost a couple of championships, and it was on situations like this, and then when they finally win it, it's just so exciting. But I love the reaction of the players, right after the game, but then also that it really meant a lot to them to represent their country, and that's just something that I really appreciate and I love, and I think that's really the essence of sports and the greatness of it. The president, whomever the president is, always invites people to the White House. Of course, he invited the hockey team there, and I just hate when people go, "No, I'm not going to go. I don't like your politics. I don't like this." Like, this is our country, and this is sports, and this is the power of sports, and that's why it's so great. In general, the type of feeling and emotion that it puts into us, I think is a very valuable thing. And we love our sports, we love our teams, and we love when we win, and we love when we win when we've lost in the past, and that redemption is a really big thing.
Yeah, I think it's I'm wearing my Utah Mammoth hat. Obviously, I'm a Chicago Blackhawks fan, but Clayton Keller, first Utah franchise NHL player to win a gold medal, so he's going to bring that home. All the players flew in last night. They flew into Miami. They got their own connection flights. You bring up the point of how much it means to the players. I know you don't follow every roster and every player and all that. But there was a player named Johnny Gaudreau who was a former
Right.
U.S.
Yeah.
player, and unfortunately, he was struck by a drunk driver with his brother, and they were killed the night before their sister's wedding. Unfortunately, it's been almost 2 years since that, and a great sentimental moment yesterday was that the Team USA players went and grabbed Johnny Gaudreau's two little sons, his son and apologies, and his daughter, and they brought him onto the ice and took a team photo and had the parents of Johnny Gaudreau's and obviously his wife there at the game yesterday. Obviously, there was a few members. Christensen or Ruzioni from the 1980 Miracles team was in Italy yesterday to watch that game as well. So there's a lot of great sentimental moments with that win yesterday for Team USA. It was just it was so incredible to watch. It was absolutely a redemption moment for Team USA after again mentioning the Four Nations loss last year. That would have been really big for us to win in Canadian land, but obviously we got to get back at it and wait until 2030 to go to France and defend our gold medal title. And it's going to be a lot of fun, and it was just so exciting to watch that game yesterday, Scott. Totally worth it. I want to mention the women's team as well. Double gold. That's the first time ever in USA hockey that's ever happened. It happened exactly almost the exact same way where USA gets a jump on in overtime and we scored a winning goal and we walk off as the champions. And Canada had to sit there with their little silver medals and their little stuffed animals and had to have a glimmer face on them and had to be the second team to be represented in that situation. So congratulations to both teams, the men and the women's team, bringing gold home, double gold. And yeah, it was one of those moments, Scott, where like there's not enough words to put into it how awesome that moment is, and it's incredible to see it. And man, what a game! Like again, tip my cap, Connor Hellebuck, so incredible in goal in that 41 saves, incredible. And yeah, Team USA is the winners, baby. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Well, and it's a great point about the women's team, and they they don't necessarily have professional hockey, so for them this Olympic hockey and the rivalry between the women is just as good and it's as intense as you could get. Same reaction, they win and it's just massively exciting for them. And there's something about hockey, I don't know what it is, but there's just they just do things the right way in how they pay tribute to people, as you mentioned, and how they respect. They're just very respectful of everything, and even as great as they are, there's almost this humility. It's almost like we're not too big for being and doing things the right way. It's hockey. I think is so dependent on each other, right? When you're on the ice, like, you have to work in tandem, you have to work as a team, you have to work together. You're an offensive player and a defensive player at the same time, and it's a really simple like process, like get the puck in the net, don't let them get the puck in your net, and so there's a massive intensity but simplicity as well to this, and it really bodes for a team mindset, I think, better than maybe any sport, right? Because in the NFL, when you're on offense, your defense is sitting on the bench. It's a totally different group of players. You may not even like the guys on your team that are on the other side of the ball. It's just a really weird dynamic. And you talk about basketball, where it's kind of the same thing. You do have, and so many guys go, I'm not playing defense. That's not what I do. I go and score. And in hockey, you're not afforded that luxury. Like you can't not be a good defender. You have to do both of these things and do it well, and you rely on people, each other so much, and it's so hard to score. And so I think just the nature of hockey as how it is one of those things that creates a culture of just being good stewards of your game, uh, y- you know, really having a sense of pride for what you do, for yourself, for the game, for your country, and also just respecting those that have, had misfortune or whatever, because it was a very touching thing that that USA hockey team. So Olympics are over, very exciting, and of course all that means is in the state of Utah we're just another Olympics closer to 2034, which is
Yeah.
only 8 years from now,
Yeah.
and it's hard to believe that, but it'll be
Oh,
here before you know it. Of course, the Summer Olympics is coming to Los Angeles in 2028,
mhm.
and I just hope, I don't want to get our politics involved into sports. And there was a big in 1980, which you weren't born, but that summer the U.S. had boycotted the Olympics in Russia because of all of the aggressive nature that Russia had invaded Afghanistan at the time, and it didn't sit well with the political people, and so Jimmy Carter was the president, said, "No, I'm not going to do it." And then, of course, Reagan comes into office in 1980, and the Russians were possibly going to boycott the Olympics in 1980, and I believe the Russians didn't want to do that because their hockey team was the best hockey team in the world. Like they were
Mhm.
just unbelievable, and I think it was a way for them. We're going to go on foreign soil, U.S. soil, and we're going to beat the socks off of them. And I think everyone felt that way. I don't think anyone was like, yeah, you're not wrong in this. And so it's just an incredible thing. And there we have hockey doing it again, just bringing us together as a country. If you're not a hockey fan, you certainly need to be, because it's just a great sport, and growing and building in leaps and bounds, across the country. And I think you can see that in years past, like the US would have gotten blown out by a Canadian team, and you're seeing better hockey here in the United States and a bigger interest in it in a broader base, and you're seeing it certainly in the western part of the United States with some of these things. The Colorado Avalanche, of course, have had some long success, but now you see Las Vegas, and here Utah now has a team, and has just been received unbelievably well in the community. So hockey is might be the shining light of all sports for us in our country, of how to do things the right way. So love that. Okay, so awesome stuff going on in with the Olympics. It's great that it's done and over with. I really want to. We're going to take a break here, and when we come back, I ran into this article. Thought it was fascinating about Emmett Smith and other players. When is it time to retire? Travis Kelsey's trying to figure that out. That and so much more when the Down and Dirty returns.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Hey, welcome back to the Down and Dirty here with Scott Mitchell. So glad you could join us. Like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. There's some fascinating things happening in the NFL. Always, we always like to talk about all that stuff because to me, it's always interesting, always compelling, and it's always relevant. It's just fascinating how the NFL just continues. And of course, right now, it's who are the new players, combine coming up, free agency, having to let players go because of salary cap situations, and also kind of retirement situation. I ran into this article over the weekend, and it just kind of talked about when is it the right time to go. Travis Kelsey. There's discussion. Andy Reid is, of course. Hey, it looks like maybe Travis wants to stay another year. A lot of teams have a philosophy about older players, and they get rid of them, and they get rid of them maybe before it's too late. They get some value out of them before they get rid of them. There's all kinds of strategies that go on. You look back in the late 80s, Dallas Cowboys got really old, and it took a long decline before they came back. 49ers made choices early on with players that were still really good. It's kept them relevant, for the most part through the 90s. And there's always this decision, ultimately Tom Brady had to leave the Patriots. And of course he went and played another couple of years and was successful. You look at Peyton Manning, so there have been situations throughout the history of the NFL about when do you let these players go? When is it really the time for a player to retire? And this is fascinating because I look at like Travis Kelsey with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's been such an iconic person, and he's been a great player, but he's elevated so much of the interest, the intrigue, with his personal life and where all of that is. Of course, he has this very successful podcast that he does with his brother, and there's just Travis Kelsey's a force, a force that probably now is more powerful off of the field than it is on. He clearly hasn't had the same production. Clearly, when Patrick Mahomes was injured, there's just it's been a slow decline with Travis Kelsey. Now, I understand as a former player, you don't want to hear that. You don't even believe that. And I've had players say, one of the things I did is I went and I looked at film early on in my career. And you look at it and you go, oh, look at how you're moving. Look at what's going on. Then you look at it later on in your career and you go, there's a drop off. Like, I don't, I know, because if you yourself, right? You watch the film, you go, oh yeah, and I thought that was a really interesting kind of procedure in determining, okay, am I good? Am I bad? Am I, do I still have it, kind of thing? And I think I think it's a fair assessment. But the question is like, okay, but where am I today? Am I still capable? Like, is Travis Kelsey still able to be productive? Is he better than the alternative? Can he still get the results that he had? Can he still be a dynamic player, even though you may have been diminished to some degree in your capabilities? And so I don't know necessarily the right answer. I know what I would do. I know what I would want to do. And a lot of people, and I'll just tell you what that is. I would want to stay until they drug my dead cold body off of the field, just play as long as you possibly can until they just say it's enough. There is no more. And part of that, I think, is not just for the moment, and it's not about your ego, and it's not about, it's just about the time. It's the time of your life to do this. You don't get to go back when you're 50, at least for now. I mean, maybe someone will go when they're 50 or even into your 40s. There's not that many players. There are some. Most of the time it's typically a quarterback or some other position that's not has the same kind of impact that some of these other positions have. And so you're still young, and to just know that you've expended everything. You just said, look, I'm out. I'm done. I have no more interest whatsoever in playing. I've got it out of my system. I can move on. I heard recently, which was very shocking to me, Joe Montana, of course, played for the 49ers. They let him go. he goes to the Kansas City Chiefs and they have some success. He gets into the playoffs, and then he just, he's just like he retires. And now looking back on it, he says, I wished I would have stayed a couple of more years. I still think I had something left in me at that time, but at the time you're just like, oh, maybe it's time to go. I'm kind of worn out. I'm drug out. So I've been a big proponent of play as long as you possibly can. Just because you can't come back. You can't do this when you're older. Now, other people don't agree with this, and they say, no, you don't want to embarrass yourself. Like, you want to go out on a high note. I mean, look at John Elway is a great example of this, and of course, he wins 2 Super Bowls, and then he's done. And he knows that his skills, even though they're at a high level, because they're winning a lot with John Elway, not because he's like the John Elway of his younger years. They're winning with a great defense, with a run game. A lot of things were involved in that, and I'm not diminishing what John Elway brings to the game, because clearly it's a lot, but it's diminished, and he was still able to succeed and play at a high level, and yet it was time to go. Peyton Manning, kind of very similar situation, but a lot of people are like, go out while you're on top, go out while you have go out with your dignity, go out with respect from people. And as opposed to, he waited just a little too long. I think one of the examples of this, and if you watched recently, I love all these documentaries about football and, the America's team, and now they've done one with the 49ers and, building a dynasty and all this stuff. And they talked about trading for O.J. Simpson, who is kind of at the end of his rope in Buffalo, and they felt that this move was the one that was really going to propel the 49ers forward. OJ is from the Bay Area, of course, a very, one of the biggest names, really one of the biggest names in the world at the time, extremely popular inside and outside of football. And the juice was basically out of juice, and there was no juice left. And it was like a shell of himself playing for the 49ers at that point in his career. And I don't want to say it was an embarrassment, because again, I'm not of that mindset, but it about lost everyone their jobs, that they made this decision. In fact, I think people did get fired over it, and they clearly went in a different direction. But I know, even if it's a little embarrassing, even if it's whatever, I just would play as long as I possibly could. And that's how I feel about it. So there you have it. All right. More NFL news of notes, just by way of announcement, everyone. And I know that you're sitting on the edge of your seats on this one, because I certainly am. And again, another fascinating little insight going on in the NFL that just makes me laugh. This whole thing makes me laugh. It's about the tush push, and the fact that we're actually having a discussion about it even more, I think it's just so compelling. I can't imagine, because I had to do a lot of quarterback sneaks in my time. I'm a fairly big guy, and it's just kind of, if you just basically lay down, you're 6'6", you're gonna get a yard. That was kind of the mindset, and it is not fun to just stick your head down and run into basically the line of scrimmage in the NFL. Never a fun thing to do. Like, just so anyone knows, not a fun thing. Now, there's an art to it, and some people figure out the art, and some people don't. And the art is, where's the soft spot in the defense? And it's like, if they reduce down the defensive front, there's nowhere to go there. You're not going to get anywhere. And if you go over the top, you're going to get nailed by a linebacker. So you just go out a little further, and sometimes further might be all the way out to the tight end. And so just understanding, kind of finding the art of a quarterback sneak is always a challenging thing. But just so everyone knows and everyone can sleep well tonight, the tush push is not going to be up for discussion as a rule change this year. They're just going to kind of let it go. And it's kind of I don't want to say it's run its course. It's always fascinating with these new concepts, and that they take the league by storm, and everyone's up in arms about it, and then people kind of get used to it, and then it doesn't quite become such an odd percentage of success. The Chicago Bears, Buddy Ryan, his 46 defense that came out, and that was, I don't want to say it was revolutionary, because basically it was goal line defense, short yardage goal line defense all the time is really what it was. It's just like you put a body on every single man at the line of scrimmage, so it's your one-on-one. You free up the linebackers, they fill all of the gaps. You basically are saying there's nowhere along the line of scrimmage anywhere here that you're going to be able to run the ball. Like that's essentially what it's saying. But it's also saying that when you do pass the ball, you're not going to have a lot of time, because there's no, like, every single guy is singled up. So if there's an advantage, like if we have a one-on-one advantage, and it was stifling that first year, 1985. They just killed people. Now the Miami Dolphins figured out if you spread them out, and it makes it harder for them, and it exposes it. And I had a coach, of course, Tom Moore has been on the show. He says, okay, you're going to go up against the 46 defense, and here's the rule. Sometimes they're going to get you, and sometimes you're going to get them. And so you just want to make sure you get them more than they get you. And that was kind of how you dealt with that defense during the day. So the tush push is kind of like, yeah, okay, been there, done that. We've seen it. We're figuring it out. It's not an issue anymore. But a year ago, it was just like, this is blasphemous. How in the world can we have this tush push? It's just not right. It's just not fair. It just doesn't seem to be something that we want to be a part of. Okay. Next NFL news of note. Oh boy. So the Cleveland Browns, like, they have a new coach, and but they don't have a new owner. And so you have to kind of anticipate that it's business as usual. And right now, the Cleveland Browns have 3 quarterbacks. It's Deshaun Watson. Now, Deshaun Watson to me is just fascinating, right? He's absolutely fascinating to me, because he's still there, and he's been there for, it's almost like that albatross hanging around you over your neck, and you just can't get rid of it. It's just weighing you down. It's just, oh my goodness, and yet it would be a very Cleveland thing to have happen, where Deshaun Watson plays this year. Team goes into the playoffs, makes a deep run in the playoffs, and then what do you do? Because now you've got to, you've got to re-sign, the quarterback, and he's probably not going to, does he want to re-sign? Do you want to re-sign him? It just seems like a bad penny. You just got to get rid of it, kind of thing. It feels that way. But there's a new coach, there's new optimism, new things. Now you've got Shedeur Sanders, and of course Martin, very, I think, tongue-in-cheek, said, hey, he was in the Pro Bowl, which is just absolutely a farce. And Dylan Gabriel. And they liked Dylan Gabriel above kind of all these people. And he's kind of been maybe pushed down to, 3rd or 4th best option at this point. Cleveland's not a bad football team. Cleveland's actually got a lot of good things going for it, and they get the right things. So now the Cleveland Browns are actually looking at the possibility of getting a quarterback. And so you're just like, whew, you got all this, you got nothing, and you're still looking. I mean, because if you really think about it, they got a really good defense, and if they had a really good quarterback, or they had someone that was that foundational guy for the next 10 to 15 years, it's worth a consideration. And you have to ask yourself, are there guys in the draft that that do that? I mean, I remember Jimmy Johnson. Of course, they drafted Troy Aikman in 1988, I believe, and he was horrible. Maybe it was 88, 89. And anyways, and like, he struggled, and there was even talk about, did Jimmy Johnson even like him? And of course, Jimmy Johnson brings in Steve Walsh, who played for him at Miami, And so you're sitting there going, well, you already have a quarterback. What do you need another quarterback for? And the question is always, you always need a quarterback. Like there's just never enough quarterbacks to go around ever. There's always plenty of wide receivers, always plenty of running back. There is always at every position you can always find a plethora of really good players or players that but the quarterback position, boy, it is just it's a tough one. And it feels to me like they're I don't know what's happening, whether they're dumbing down the game or they're kind of tailoring it a little bit more to some of these concepts that these guys have run in college. But regardless, it seems like there's more guys that are playing well at quarterback than maybe in the past. But defense was kind of the dominant force in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl. So we'll see how that playoffs. But the point is that you can never find enough good quarterbacks on your team. Now it panned out well, and Jimmy Johnson made the right decision with Troy Aikman and having him as his guy, because Troy Aikman ended up winning a bunch of Super Bowls for him, and he's in the Hall of Fame. And Steve Walsh is not, and Steve Walsh went on to other situations, but regardless, it's just one of those things. Now, this next thing I think is also a fascinating discussion, and that's with Jackson Smith and Jigma. Of course, he's now declared that he wants to be the highest paid player or wide receiver in the NFL. And this is the type of thing. And I'm not faulting anyone here. I'm not saying a word about anything or nothing. But when it all of a sudden, because what was the magic about the Seahawks was everyone was bought into this team concept. Like we're just going to go play. And I guarantee you, Jackson Smith and Jigma wasn't saying, no, I want to get paid. Now he's amazing. He's great. He's a phenomenal receiver. And it gets to that point where when these stars emerge, when guys, because they want to take advantage of what they are, it's how these things crumble. You think of AJ Brown with the Philadelphia Eagles. Like they win the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden it's just not good enough for everyone to just kind of do their part. Somebody somewhere somehow, and it's not necessarily one player. They just go, I want to get paid. I want to get respected. I want more. I deserve more. I'm a big part of why we're having success here. And the ego just kills the NFL. It kills all of it so often when you just have these people make these decisions like this. And it's hard because as a player, you're really caught between a rock and a hard place. You really are. And you're part of this team. You're part of an organization, and you're always kind of like it's about the team, and it's about family, and it's about culture, and it's about all this stuff. But then it's also about I'm in a league. I'm in a situation now where I can be putting in in my career after taxes at least $50 million in my pocket, and at a minimum. I mean, it's just going to continue to grow. I think last year's salary cap was $279 million. Like it'll go up again this year. I mean, it's just insane that there is money there, and how it's dispersed, and is all it's a fascinating, challenging problem that you have. And it's always about leverage. And Smith, Jackson Smith and Jigma has all the leverage right now, but he's in a tough spot because he's like, everyone's like, hey man, it's all about team. It's all about this stuff. And you're being kind of selfish and you're kind of taking care of yourself. And yet I'm just telling you, at the drop of a hat, everything changes. Like the team goes, yeah, you're no longer, valuable to us, or you make too much money now. So we got to get rid of, because they're going to have to make decisions eventually. And it's just a tough thing to be a part of. And I know that guys get jealous of other players when they make money. It creates a chemistry problem. I swear I was always in favor of players. Great. if you got like it's awesome that you got paid. I think it's wonderful. And the whole thing is it's available to all of us. You just got to go out there and create leverage for yourself by performing well so that you then have the ability to capitalize on the highest dollar amount. But it's this type of thing, justly or unjustly, that you know is what tears a team apart, and it's what makes it so hard to every single year compete and create these dynasties in the NFL. Now, the New England Patriots, I've said this a bazillion times, and they were smart about it. They took really good players like Jackson Smith and Jigma, and they caught them at the tail end of their so they'd had the big contract, or they'd had the big success, and they were now cut from their team because they were too much, and players would go to New England because they knew they had a shot to win a Super Bowl. So they got their money, and now they were like, okay, I'm gonna go somewhere where, you know, Randy Moss type of thing, Chad Johnson type of thing, you know, and on and on. And then if a player in New England ever got too big for their britches, they just let him go. And so their whole team was built on highly skilled, affordable, professional football players across the board, offense, defense. That's how they were built. You never had a superstar with that team, because I'd love for you to name them, and they didn't exist, and that was not their philosophy. Pittsburgh Steelers, very similar, did the same type of thing. And you know, the closest they had to a superstar was Tom Brady, who was willing to take less money. And of course, you know, it was a huge gamble on his part. I mean, they'd signed Drew Bledsoe to $100 million contract in the late 90s. And they ended up saying, no, we're going to go with Tom Brady. So there is a way, and there is a strategy of, you know, how you manage the salary cap and have success in it. And so many teams are just like, oh man, we got this, we can't let him go. And that's the biggest thing. Again, it's another ego thing. They just go, we can't let him go. You have a great quarterback. It's like, we can't let that great quarterback go. I mean, Joe Burrow is in just a tough situation in Cincinnati because he gets paid a lot of money, and it forces them to make other decisions that are tough, and it's not a good one. All right, here's another. Speaking of, you know, players kind of in a rebound after a big contract, Tyreek Hill. And there was some discussion, and part of me, even when I heard that Tyreek was let go, I'm like, whoo, you know, he could go back to Kansas City. And the reaction from Andy Reid wasn't like, oh, that's an amazing idea. Absolutely. He's like, well, you know, Tyreek is kind of trying to get on the mend, trying to figure things out. And you know, we'll just kind of see how this plays out and whatever. And he could be, you know, kind of doing a little gamesmanship and putting on his poker face. Maybe he's just like, man, it's so excited. We get Tyreek back. You know, it really going to help us with Travis Kelce. In that, if he comes back for another year, we could really use, you know, Tyreek. And who knows where Tyreek is going to be from a mindset, because he's kind of a loose cannon. He's a wide receiver kind of player. There's certainly drama that follows him. And I think, you know, to me, it's like Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs are a safe place for Tyreek Hill. I think it would be amazing. I believe he's still got a lot left in the tank, and you may get him at a price that makes sense for you as a team. Now everyone's got to get healthy and be healthy, and we'll see how that all goes. But I personally, like, he's a talent, and I wouldn't give it up. So we'll see where that ends up. All right, we're gonna take another break here. We come back. We like to play games from time to time, and we're going to play a Would You Rather game, which is always fun. Can't wait to see what Martin has in store for me. Always good dilemmas to have to choose between would I rather this or that. We'll do that, and of course, Jason Buck right around the corner when the Down and Dirty returns.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us in our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kitbag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kitbag.
Farmhound's approach is a little different than a traditional treat company. We get to work with local farmers who are putting everything they can into regenerative farming. From the soil to the animals to the ecosystem. They care about how animals are raised and how we treat the earth. It's not just product, but it's part of that story. It's connected to just a whole lot more.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It's the Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell here. So glad you could join us. Please like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff because, it makes us happy. And I appreciate when people make me happy. All right. Joining me on the program is none other than my fearless producer, Martin Kelly. Martin, of course, we like to play games from time to time. And he just slapped in a Would You Rather on me today. And so I'm going to let Martin lead the way on the would you rather discussion for the day.
Yeah, so for anybody who doesn't know, would you rather is scenarios I give Scott where he chooses either or, and at home you can play as well. You can decide whether you would want to do the opposite or the same as Scott.
Ooh.
Everybody wins. Everybody gets to go home with a gold star on the top of their forehead to show off to their parents and stick it on the fridge. So no one's going to go home with a sad face.
Did you get a gold star?
No, I did not. I did not go home with a gold star. I went home with the sad faces. No, never.
You went home with what?
I went home with the sad faces. I went home with the sad face and an explanation. Yeah, that's why I enjoy doing what I do now because I get to talk about it. Okay, right. That's why.
Well, I give you permission to go out, get a little sticky, put a gold star on your forehead, and I think you're doing a good job. So there you go.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yep. I can't wait to do that today. All right, Scott. Because the Olympics just ended,
yes.
If you were in your prime, you're an athlete, okay, in your prime, would you rather compete in the Summer Olympics or the Winter Olympics?
So I don't ski. Grew up in Utah. I've skied twice in my life. People are like, how dare you? It's because I played sports, so they wouldn't let you ski. I do love a lot of the Winter Olympic sports. I love the hockey. I love the figure skating. I think what it is about them, and even the downhill skiing, is it's just so far out of my capacity. I'm just like, whoa, I couldn't do that. But I do like watching them. The Summer Olympics. Now with flag football coming into play in the NFL, in my prime, playing flag football in the Olympics. I know some people are like, nah, man, I'm a traditionalist. I'm not going to do that. Excuse me. I would do that in a heartbeat. So I'm going to say the Summer Olympics. Okay. Now, if the Winter Olympics include something with like snowmobiles or maybe ice fishing or something along those Although curling has always captured my attention, but yeah, it is a tough decision. But I would say I think the Summer Olympics are a little bit more like grandiose. They're on a bigger scale. Just seems to be maybe I can um, be like one of those uh, triathlon or not triathlons. What was Bruce Jenner before he was not Bruce Jenner?
Oh,
Um,
the marathon runners.
no, they were. Anyways, I don't know.
Yeah, sprinters. Something
No,
like
they,
that.
it's like it's the pentathlon or it's the whatever where they participate. They're kind of they're not great in any of the sports. They're just really good at a bunch of them.
Oh,
And
okay.
decathlon.
Oh,
That's what it is.
decathlon. There
Yeah,
you go.
I want to do the decathlon in the Olympics. All right, there you have it.
All right, Scott. Considering the NFL Combine is coming up, if you were an NFL prospect in today's game, because you have the Combine and the Pro Day, okay, would you rather go to the NFL Combine and show off your very best, or would you rather save some of it and show off your very best at your Pro Day?
Yeah, this I think is a very easy um, discussion, and I think part of it too is it's hands down. It's I'd rather do the pro day thing, especially as a quarterback. And the combine is you have no control, so you don't have any control over, and you don't have really any prep time with the wide receiver. So I'm just thinking of this from a quarterback's perspective, and even all the wide receivers, tight ends, all that stuff. Um, so you kind of take your lot, and it's really kind of a meat market. And you're there with a whole bunch of other people, and you're all kind of doing your thing. And although the environment is controlled, you're inside, so you're not having to deal with the elements or anything like that. Your pro day, you're with your guys. It's very scripted, so you really get a really in-depth way of showing all the different types of throws, how you handle scenarios, all the things that you do. Now, if you do have your pro day at home, it's like you better perform because you do that. And so it's kind of one of those things where I don't know how much you really gain from it, but if you don't do well in your own pro day, that's bad. So there is an added level of pressure, but I would rather take the pressure with the guys I know than the guys I don't know. So I easily would rather have a pro day than the combine.
All right, Scott. Here's a fun one for you because I know this will be an easy answer. But if you were in a situation, you got to go get either a game-winning touchdown or a game-winning field goal. You're only down by 2. Okay, you don't need to get a game-time field goal. Okay, but if you had to go rogue, you had to say to the offense coordinator, "Listen, I'll make the decision here. Would you rather throw the game-winning touchdown for the win, or set the team up for the game-winning field goal?"
Well, so here's the challenge. It's like, well, how good's your kicker, right? And it's like, do you want to put all the pressure? Do you want is it someone that you trust to get their job done? And most of the time, you would always go, look, if we only need a field goal, then that's our strategy is going to go to that, because the further you go, it also opens up the potential of turning the ball over or what have you. But and also, if you're gonna go for a touchdown, a lot of times you got to take a bigger gamble and risk on the plays you're calling. Whereas if you're just trying to get a field goal, then it leaves you open to a lot more options as far as plays. Hey, we only need to get 5 yards here or 6 yards or whatever, as opposed to, hey, we got to go all the way down and score a touchdown. It's a little bit more challenging, but the strategy, and especially with an NFL kicker, you just go, they're more than likely going to make this. That's what their job is to do. So for me, it's just about getting the win, whether it's a field goal or touchdown. I'd probably go if I was down by 2. Kicking a field goal would be what I would do.
All right, Scott. If you were running a team, okay, would you sign one top level free agent for all the money that you can get him to fix one spot on your team, or for the same amount of money, sign a bunch of players to fix every hole on your roster?
Well, your roster is filled with both of those scenarios. Like, you need role players. You need guys. Not every player on your team is going to be like this just dominant superstar, but they're going to be really good pros. And I think a lot of it would also depend on who the free agent is. What position do they play? Is it one of those move the needle kind of positions? And if you were going to get a game changing player, offense or defense, it wouldn't matter to me. I'd probably take that big time player, only from the standpoint of you can still fill in spots with guys, and every team's going to have some hole somewhere, but for the chance to get one of those big time players is kind of that's the thing to do. Now, I just talked about this earlier about the some of these team strategies, and some of the team strategies are just those two questions. Some of them go, no, we're going to spread our money around, and we're just going to try to get a solid base of players here. And then we'll figure things out from there. And some people go, if you have a talent and it's a generational type talent, you can't pass it up. You got to figure out a way to get them in the fold. So there you have it.
All right, final question here for you, Scott. If you were the NFL commissioner, okay, and you had the choice, would you rather stick the NFL draft back at Radio City Music Hall in New York City, or would you rather keep it the way it is, where it's bouncing from city to city to city in the NFL landscape?
So it was kind of always a big deal. Like, it was in New York, and it was kind of that, type of thing. I kind of like how it is now. I really wish they would have, they missed the one in Las Vegas where they were going to have the players, as they were announced, they were going to have them in a boat. I think it was at the Bellagio with the big giant fountain outside.
Yeah.
And so the players were going to show up. They were going to travel them by boat across their little harbor there to receive their handshake from the commissioner. And I like stuff like that. So I kind of like it travels around. I think it certainly generates a tremendous amount of excitement in that it doesn't consolidate everything into New York City. And so a lot of these fan bases from other parts of the country get to be involved. I think it's been a good move. I actually like that.
All right. That's all I got for you. Would you rather?
Would you rather? Well, would you rather quit the show today or keep going? I say we keep going, and that's what we're going to do.
Too.
All right, there you go. That's the winning answer right there. Jason Buck, right around the corner when the Down and Dirty returns.
Circulon C1 Series clad with scratch defense non-stick. The luxury and confidence of premium clad stainless steel meets scratch defense extreme non-stick that won't scratch ever. With an ultra-thick aluminum core for high-performance heating. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance of clad stainless steel. Scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It's the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. So glad you could join us. Please like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. It makes us happy. And I like when I'm happy. Of course, I'm extremely happy right now because I'm joined with none other than the great, the irrepressible, the man, Outland Trophy winner, two-time Super Bowl participant, winning and losing a Super Bowl, and all around just great dude, Jason Buck joins the program. Jason, welcome. How you doing?
Doing great, man. It's always good to be with my brother, Scott Mitchell.
Well, always good to be with you too. I will just tell you, there's not a finer human being in the world. I say this every time that I see Jason, but Jason's just as good as they get. Okay, so the Super Bowl just ended. I know you have your Super Bowl parties and you watch and all this stuff, and so of course you have a winner of it with the Seattle Seahawks and a losing team that is the Patriots. And tell me what it's like, because you've been on both sides of this. You've been on a winning side of a Super Bowl and you've been on a losing side. So what's it like losing the Super Bowl, and then what's it like winning it?
You know, brother, then there's just, as far as the sport goes, there's just nothing more devastating than the loss, because you work so hard. It's all of our dreams since we were kids to get there, and you sacrifice, you work, and you get in that game and you lay it all out. I mean, every fiber of strength and emotional energy you have in your body out on that field, and you leave it all out there. So when you lose that last whistle goes, and like in my Super Bowl 23 game, it went right down to that last whistle, and that is a heartbreak. You go. I just remember going, matter of fact, the loss rings from NFL Films shows me walking off the field afterwards, at the end of it, and just devastated, right? And they grabbed that look of me. You go in the locker room and it's just silence and heartbreak, and, you're hugging some of your buddies and you're just talking about the game and how it got away from you, and just painful, and what, I mean, honestly, the only thing that really helps me be able to live with it was going on and winning one, right? But that Super Bowl 23 loss was still devastating to me to this day, because I really still believe we had the better team, and obviously they won the game, but what was it, 3-0 at halftime, or something. It was a defensive battle. I had a great game, but we had some guys let us down, that partied the night before the game. One guy OD'd on cocaine, and it's just a great lesson of it being a team sport, right? And you need all your brothers to have your back, all to be disciplined. You're the two best teams in the league down to that moment, and it's going to come down to one or two plays, which it did. And some involved in the game really made it into the game that lost it. And so you're saying sacrifice and work, and got one of your teammates that totally blow it because of their personal discipline and let you down the game. It's hard to swallow that one.
I think it's fascinating, the pressure of the game and how people respond to it, because because you would think okay, this is the biggest game in the world, and we're going to be locked in, and we're going to we're going to do everything we can, and some people, the pressure is just so much that they go the other direction and they just have like a meltdown. And you watch these two quarterbacks in the game, and Drake May, you could just tell the game was too much for him. It was too big for him in the moment.
It was.
And it, it's just fascinating to see how the pressure actually gets to people in the Super Bowl.
Dude, I think it's just like, it's like, life, that pressure, you can take the old saying, you can take the boy out of the farm, but not the farm out of the boy. You can take the boy out of the gangs, we can't take the gang out of the boy. It's just kind of like, it follows them and accentuates, because the guys who are taking care of business with us, it was like, you're locked in the room all week. I barely take time to see my family, to have dinner with them. I go back to my room. I'm in focus, drill, just drilling in, not letting any distractions get to you. And Joe Gibbs was all about, if you watched him and go back and look at him, he brought in, back before free agency, brought in all veterans. We'd have 2 or 3 rookies on the team each year. I mean, they had an opening, they'd bring in a 5-6 year veteran. Everybody, and that's why I came in there from the Bengals. And when we were in the Super Bowl, man, it was all business. And the Buffalo Bills, they were ticking people off around town and, swag, walking around their swag, they're just being, jerks at the time. I mean, that was the reputation was going on in town, and we took care of business, man. And it shows. But I agree with you. The quarterback, it showed that he was not ready for that moment in that game. Young guy, and the pressure of all of it really overcame him for New England. But man, what a great defensive game, dude. I loved it.
I'm sure you did.
I loved it. I mean, there's great defense going on.
It was, and I can appreciate that, but I'm an offensive guy. I like to see the fireworks of things. So when you win the Super Bowl, you talk about it being all business. Like, how long after the win did you move on? Was it right after the game, months, weeks? So how much time did it take the celebration of it before you actually got into, okay, it's next season, it's the next move?
Gosh, that's hard because you enjoy it, man. When you win the Super Bowl, it is like, you come back home, that time you come back, visit Utah, you're with friends. I mean, the moment is just wherever you go, you're still in the moment. I mean, the fans, the fan base, wherever you can't avoid it when you leave the house. Honestly, the excitement, how the NFL cities are. DC, it was just, we'd have our NFL, got our rings that summer right before camp. I would say, I mean, obviously for me personally, you take a week or 2 off to the season, maybe 1 week. I didn't take more than 2 weeks for sure. And I'd be back in the gym and you're training and for the next year and drilling on your personal preparation. But man, you enjoyed the ride and the fun all off season. That nobody forgot about it until I think the first snap of the preseason the next year.
What was one of the funnest things you did to celebrate the Super Bowl? Do you have any moments where you go, that was kind of a crazy celebration of winning?
Right after the night after the game, the teams have, the team party, which is, I mean, at the hotel. That was awesome. What was funny is we did it at the Bengals too, even with the loss. So you're all going, you have the ballroom rented and everything ready in case you win. And it's just like, ends up being like a, sad heartbreaker. I mean, great season, that kind of thing, pat each other on the back. It was a battle, but the emotions and the thrill going on in the room and the feeling is totally different, right? That was a fun night. And the rest of it's really, honestly, you do the TV shows and all that stuff, but there's no other, big part of the celebration. You just have fun with your friends. You get to talk about it a lot. The excitement of it just lives with you, well, forever, right? But that year is it was all just like one thing after another, and you just enjoy the ride, man.
Yeah, I was curious about that because so often, you hear players that go, you win the game and it's euphoric and all this stuff, and then some people say it's kind of a letdown, or it's all of a sudden, okay, now you kind of move on to the next season. And I was just curious, like, how long does it linger? And I'm sure it's different for everyone, but I'm just kind of interested.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it lingers for the rest of your life, right? I mean, once you've been in a Super Bowl, you're part of that fraternity, of Super Bowl champions, right, or even participating in it. And one of the great games when we lost, that Super Bowl 23. But there's the Redskins did it right. Like we had at the mall in DC, right in front of the Capitol, they built this, giant, probably 4-story platform or something like that, where you have the whole team up on it. And at the front of the mall, and I'm telling you, dude, to just welcome, to celebrate the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And we're up on top of this thing, and dude, there are people from the start of the mall at the Capitol all the way to the Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln Memorial. It was just like you're up on that. It's just masses of people. the old Redskin town was rock, and you're up on top, and then the wannabe Hollywood stars show up. I'll make some of my friends on the team mad at me, but dude, all of a sudden I turn around, I'm up on top with all the guys, and Jesse Jackson comes walking up next to me. I'm like, looking for a camera, right? But all the Jesse Jackson fans are excited. He's got a couple bodyguards with him that,
right.
Smaller than me, right? Thought they were big dudes until they walked up next to the big guys. Anyways, he comes up all doing his thing. And the guys, we had old camcorders back then. And so the guys are excited, Jesse Jackson fans,
Sure.
all in front of him, Jesse Jackson. And I'm standing over this Jesse Jackson shoulder, smiling at all my friends that were Jesse Jackson fans. I stand over his shoulder in the bodyguards because I'm so much bigger than them, and I'm doing this one over Jesse Jackson. I'm giving him the rabbit ears. And all the guys are like, shit, Buck, you're bad, man. Get that out of here. They're all yelling at me. I was just laughing my head off, teasing them. But
you're in Washington.
Stuff like that happen.
Yes, you're in Washington. You gotta have. I bet that was fun. I actually talked to Mark Rippon, who, he had a
great friend of mine, right?
Yeah, and he's Canadian, which I didn't know, and so he has this big event in Washington, and it's a charity event. One of the things they give away, they of course auction it off, is a tour of Air Force One. And so they somehow he was able to secure a tour of Air Force One, and he goes, the crazy thing is I can't even go on Air Force One. He goes, I'm a Canadian citizen, and so as a citizen of I'm not even allowed on Air Force One. So I have this event, and of course people can go, but I'm not allowed. He goes, even winning a Super Bowl, I was not allowed on Air Force One. So. There are limits to the politics there in Washington.
Oh yeah, let me give you a funny story about Rip, because I just really good friends with Rip, and he lives up in northern Idaho now, Sandpoint or up in there, but love the guy, really humble, right? But man, he gets a little liquor in him, and he is hilarious. So we'd go out, once in a while, a bunch of us would kind of like hang together, and we went to Country Stars concert. I can't remember his name. We all loaded in this little mini bus we rented, and Vince Gill. We go to a little Vince Gill deal one night. You're right, just husbands and wives, about 12 couples or whatever, but mostly hogs, right? I mean, the hogs, a couple of D-line, and Rip, we all get in there, and we get in that deal, and he has a little liquor in him in that bus, and that dude can sing like nobody's business. He's one of those guys that's like a walking jukebox, right? Yeah. And he just starts just rattling off songs and singing them, and everybody's laughing their heads off, right? Because everybody's drinking except me and Roxy, and they're always just teasing me like, "Fuck, dude, what do Mormons do for fun if you don't drink?" Like, you just have fun. I don't drink. You don't have to, but they're all like, they couldn't figure out how you could go out on an evening like that and not enjoy the liquor with everybody. But we had a great time, man. But man, Rip, he could sing like nobody's business. It was hilarious.
I'll bet that would be fun to be part of.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I'm curious about kind of some of the things that are evolving in the NFL in today's game. And I'm always fascinated by this whole concept of teams playing overseas, and it looks like the NFL has a desire to expand globally and potentially put a division of its football over in Europe somewhere, or what have you. And I'm just curious your thought. As a player, would you welcome that? Would you want to have to travel like they do, because they're playing a lot of games? I mean, they're playing in Australia, they're playing in Mexico City. For right now, who knows what's happening in Mexico right now, but they're in Spain, they're in England, they're in Ireland. How would you feel as a player today? Would you go, yeah, I don't care, whatever? What are your thoughts about playing a regular season game overseas in the NFL?
Travel coast to coast was hard enough, right? When we were playing, that was a hard deal to go coast to coast. But travel's getting better. If they're able to get, I think it's doable to do a East Coast division with London in it. As long as the scheduling was done right, it'd be a little bit of a difficult trip over there. But they could probably run the scheduling so it wasn't as hard on London as it was, the American teams. But what I don't like, and I'm okay with expanding, and probably Europe first, Canada, maybe you want like Toronto, and because the owners are looking at more revenue, right? I mean, that's their businessmen. But I say this, and what I don't like is when they deviate from the American way, because it's the American game. And I think the world is truly attracted to America, whether they complain here or that politically or whatever, but the persona of America, the rugged individual American, and the frontier and the pioneer and the cowboy, and just the American spirit. I say we stay disciplined and to that, and don't change the personality of the NFL. You know what I'm saying? I think it'll draw, if we expand into Europe and Canada, it's still be proud of it and do it the way Vince Lombardi and everybody did, and the heart and soul of the great American sport. And that itself, just the toughness and ruggedness of it that makes it unique to the world. Proudly stay with it. Do not change that model and, try to entertain based on South America and Europe and whatever. You keep that, I think you keep that strong, rugged American game and the personality of it that is very unique to America. I think we're good. But so man, come on, man, fix the freaking halftime. It's so bad. Just so bad. Go back to what I fell in love with in the 60s and 70s, and just the toughness in NFL films and the American man, and just patriotism and family good fun. Whoever's doing the marketing for them, I mean, get rid of them, because I don't like the halftime stuff. I mean, it's just be American and be proud of it and move forward. I think the world will love it.
So you're a young player, and you have an opportunity. The NFL is expanding. They're going over to Europe. They're going to put a division in Europe. And would you want to go? Would you want to be a player and spend your season over in Spain or I don't know, Germany?
I would look at it. I mean, I would always, to my soul, how patriotic I am and American, I'd always look at myself as representing the United States of America, even if I was playing for Scotland. I went and played for Scotland in NFL Europe and won the NFL Europe championship, with them. I thought that was fun because, I was over there. I'm a descendant of Scott, mostly England, but Scottish heritage and on. I love all my family history, and, standing in the tower of William Wallace and Braveheart. And, I had a blast over there. But yeah, young family, I'm all about it. Take them to Spain, take them to Germany, take them to London, live there, train there through the off season, just like you do any other team when you live in San Francisco. Dude, when I left Idaho for Cincinnati, it was like going to a foreign land.
Right.
That was such a big change for me to be in Idaho mountain boy, and also in that humidity in Cincinnati, and the old Mike Brown team, and you went to Cincinnati too, and what a shock that was. Yeah. What a horrible football atmosphere. What a horrible life atmosphere in the football organization. Good town, great people, loved them, but football was a nightmare. I mean, I think I'd much rather have gone to a world-class organization like Joe Gibbs and Jack Kent Cook in Frankfurt, Germany. I don't rather than be with Sam Weish and the Cincinnati and the coaching staff at that time. I mean, you had some good coaches like Dick LeBeau that was a fantastic man, and McNally and stuff, but Weish and Bill Urbanek that I had was a nightmare for any player that ever landed on this earth. So I'd say organization, do it the American way, don't change the game, build it in Europe. I'm fine with it.
So when you were pass rushing, right? How many guys, there were some tells like that the offensive linemen, by their stance, by the change of their stance, by the lean in their body, were tipping off pass and run. And it was pretty blatant with some of the guys with the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
How prevalent is that? Like when you're studying film and you're watching a guy, and these are pros, right? I mean, this is the
Yeah.
best guys in the world, these offensive linemen, but yet they still have their kind of idiosyncrasies or their habits or whatever. How many
100%.
guys did you get tips off of when you were playing?
You know what? I would say in film, because film is so good, you could really catch a lot of things. Some were much better at hiding it than others.
Yeah.
But they all gave it up in the game. I mean, that's why I hated rotating in and out of the game very much, because you get in a game and you get to know that guy in front of you, right? So even if he was a master at hiding his stance on film, you get in a game and the rhythm of the game, and you start to, even a great one, you would feel the differences in his stance.
Yeah.
Right. So then you can start to read it and adjust to him and do some things to him in his stance. But you're right. So even the masters give it up a little bit. When you're in the rhythm of the game, you tell there's just, I'm talking, it's a slight shift, right? But there's others that are just nuts, if you will. I want them to be nice to say, that have big differences in their stance, right? They're showing it and they don't give a crap. And your ears are pinned back and you're going. But and they give it up on film, no question. But little line splits, when you're really good, Scott, you look at everything in the line splits and between the guard and the tackle, and you can see it all the way down. And then you see the backs. You're looking through it and you see the back split, whether he's up a little bit or back a little bit. You'd read all of that. And it's nice to be a linebacker because you'd be up with the vision to see all of it versus down your stance. But everything gives something. But yeah, definitely there's players that give it up much more. So it's like, yeah, whatever. But in the rhythm of the game, you can catch little tiny things.
It's an interesting comment because, as a quarterback, it's the same thing. It's like if you're always you snap the ball and you turn your back to the defense and you're always handing off the ball, you don't get to feel them. You don't get to look at them. You don't get to, and it's harder to get into a rhythm when you're handing off the ball and then all of a sudden they go, okay, now it's third down, now throw the ball, and it's it's not impossible, but it's nice to get a feel for guys. So it's interesting to hear that from a defensive lineman. I wondered that, because I see this. There's always this subbing in and out of defensive linemen, and y'all run so slow to the sideline, and it looks like it's like you're spending more energy running to the sideline, and it's doing more damage than it actually is doing any good.
That's why you'd love go back and watch. That's so funny you say that, because you watch me go to the sideline, dude. I am top speed wherever I go. I may have slowed down a little bit, but I'm more of the gazelle, and these big old D tackles they have now. They lumber the sideline like a big old elephant, like they're just dying to get there. And the thing is, they get so big, they don't have the endurance to play every play of the game, right? So they'll start taking plays off. So those guys, you got to rotate. I hated it. Because I love being in the rhythm of the game. And then you catch I'd much rather be catching their play action stuff, and filling their stances than going out, 3rd and 10. The offensive linemen all know what they're doing. D linemen got their ears pinned back. There's no, guessing in it or, science to it. It's just like, boom, go. But there's some advantage to it, but I'd much rather just have every play. But those lazy guys, the big dudes, if people watch film close, you'll watch Pro Bowl guys. I'd see it all the time. It just made me vomit, right? You'd see guys that are famous that they were just, all they cared about was getting 1 or 2 sacks a game and getting a Pro Bowl, and they sucked half the other game at least, right? I mean, we're like worthless. And you'd watch them to stand up and watch the play on the other side and they'd get a sack. And, you get 14 sacks in a year and you're a Pro Bowl. And their hearts pumped Kool-Aid. I had no respect for them. But, they just watch half the game. And you see it all the time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know stuff like that goes on. I have no question about it. Who was a guy that was tough for you? Like this is like a hard guy to get past.
It was funny. Yeah, absolutely. Is my teammate Munoz. He had, and well, you know how it was. He was my look squad. I was his look squad. You know, we'd go against each other in practice a lot. Rated as probably arguably the greatest old lineman to play the game.
Yeah.
Because what he could do, Scott, is he had such good feet, and he was so smart, and he was just so athletic. He pitched for USC and an old lineman.
Right.
I mean, what a good man. Just like you and, you know, like I love you, and we have this understanding of each other, you know, as brothers off the field. Munoz is the same way, man. That guy's my brother. But his feet, dude, he could take the fastest safety blitz off the edge and just watch his feet. Just shut off the safety blitz, speed off the corner, take Lawrence Taylor, and then take, you know, Reggie White, big guy jamming down. I mean, he could just do anything and everything. And run, he was a master of his hands like I was. Like I was known among my teammates as being a technician and, owning that offensive lineman's chest, run block. Exactly. And dude, he was so good with his hands on run block, better than anybody I played against. Because he'd have this thing like, you're shooting your hands in your chest, you're stretching the play, and you have him, and Munoz he'd be coming off and working and trying to get hold of your elbows and lift them up and out of there. And so we'd be looking like a kung fu fight from, on a run play all the way to the sideline, right? And nobody did that like Anthony. If you watch his film, dude, he'd roll people down the field just 20 yards. He was so good at what he did.
Yeah. That's a good pick.
I went against others. I was going to send you a highlight of me sacking the Detroit quarterback. Oh, right before he got there against Lomas Brown. I just smoked him on an inside move. He was a Pro Bowler, old Lomas, right? Yep. He was solid, but he was more of an absorber, right? Yeah. And I got Lomas. I'm trying to think of Clinton. Was it Clinton? Or the bit for Atlanta Falcons? He was pretty dang good. Clinton. I went against all the Lachey and all the Pro Bowlers that time, and Will Wolford. It's funny. You match up better with some than others, right? Some are like the guy that's a little more difficult for you. He just plays you a little better than that other guy. And that guy's style, even though he's the big name, you got his number. But there was so much fun to play against, Emmitt Smith and your buddy, Barry Sanders, right? So, yeah. He was, but he never played good. We shut him down every time I played him. And we'd watch film and be like, holy crap, that dude's good.
Right.
And our
so how would you shut him down? I mean, I know how people shut him down, but I'm just curious.
From our standpoint.
Yeah.
He wasn't a big power runner, right? He wasn't a big powerful guy.
Yeah.
And so you got a hand on him, you got him.
Yeah.
At least when I played him. I mean, it was like, but when you watch him, it's like, geez, reverse the field as fast as he could run forward and just shifty. And Dick LeBeau and my coordinator at the Bengals, and then Pettibone, my coordinator at the Redskins, were both the same on this. We'd get upfield on the offensive tackle and make sure we showed color, right? We'd have good edge run on him, and we'd force him and he'd show color to make sure he stayed inside the pocket, right? Like his run was inside the tackles, and bring him back inside, not let him bounce.
Yeah. And
dude, we'd hold him down under 100 yards, in every game, and the Redskins or Bengals, and he never was the guy that like smoked us, right? Beat him in the NFC Championship in DC, beat him at the Bengals, and you'd play him upfield and get inside and get one hand on him and get him down. At least that was my experience. But it was all about pinning him down inside between the tackles.
Force him to try to run inside the tackles, and you're going to win.
Yeah, force him inside, and we'd always show color, right? Like I'd get that upfield edge of the offensive tackle, and show color up there, and pin the pocket down a little bit, and he would just cut inside, and we'd control him, not let him bounce.
Okay, I don't know why I woke up this morning with this question in my head, but I'm just curious. I'm always fascinated, like how other people did things, right? So when I played for the Dolphins, we had a 12-minute run at the beginning of the season. So that was your conditioning test. So you just run for 12 minutes. And depending on how many laps you got, and you were required by your position to get so many laps. So I think as quarterbacks, you had to get like 6.5 laps or something. Offensive linemen were like 4.5, defensive linemen. What were the conditioning? What was the toughest conditioning test that you had to do every year, whether it was in college or the pros?
And how stupid is that? I mean, honestly.
Oh, it's beyond stupid.
Beyond stupid. And
Yeah.
it was like the weight coach, had to think of something to make himself look good in front of the other coaches or something.
Yeah.
Or the scouts. Like, remember how we'd laugh once you're in the league, you're like, the scouts would walk by and you're like, freaking little dweeb. You'd be like, you're right.
Right.
Come on. Unless they're an ex-NFL player as a scout or whatever, you're like, get out of here, little dweeb. I mean, all they do is they got their combine moment, and then you don't see them again the rest of your life.
No.
Right.
So what was
most of them don't know crap.
Conditioning test? What was the toughest one?
Oh gosh, the dumbest I thought.
What was Lavelle like? What did he have you do? BYU.
He let our weight coach Chuck Stiggins, who was a great dude, but he had to do his thing at the start of every year, right? We would do the 1 mile run. Yeah, we do a 1 mile run. That was just the dumbest thing in the world, right? Similar to yours.
Yeah.
And had to do it at a certain time. And you'd have linemen that were just basically walking to stay alive.
Right.
And because nobody does that in a game.
Right.
And then I would say it was a 300-yard shuttle.
Okay.
Is that too long? Or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a 300-yard shuttle, right?
Yeah.
We'd go, it was like 25, 25, 25, 25, 25. And your legs were just like,
yeah.
That was a hard one.
Where did you do that one?
That was at the BYU my senior year too.
Oh, okay.
Crazy. Yeah. But then in the NFL, I didn't ever have to do that. They put us on a treadmill and check our cardio recovery, and the rest good about it. We'd be like into practice, we'd do some, do gassers, stretch out a few hundreds and be done. So the Redskins were awesome about not making me do any of those stupid runs like that one at Miami. The Bengals, pretty similar on the conditioning thing. I didn't have to. The worst thing, right? You remember Kim Brown at the Bengals. You knew Kim.
Oh, yeah.
Good dude. Good dude. Crazy Kim, man. He'd have to do stuff with sledgehammers and, whatever in the weight room. He'd just make up crap that whatever he thought about.
He was part of I think it was with one of the Browns. They invented Nautilus. So they actually the Nautilus weight lifting equipment
with Pete Brown.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Him and Pete invented that and
made a lot of money. Yeah.
Made a ton of money.
Yeah.
Then he's the weight coach. And he'll just do bizarre stuff.
Oh, I did all the bizarre stuff with him. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you and I both had the Bengal experience.
Yeah.
But he shows up undrafted, right? And Chuck Stiggins was one of the top weight coaches in the country, always was, just did a great job. And, I've been learning all this stuff about fast twitch and, how to rotate your repetitions and come back around. You're developing fast twitch. You don't want to develop endurance, And I was always, you're doing a lot of 5s and 3s on your reps, right? You maybe start the cycle at 10 reps and then, about 2 weeks. And then by the time you got that end of 8-week cycle in the weight room, you'd be down to 3 reps, where the way Chuck did it. But you'd never do more than 10. And, that was just at the top of the cycle as you went back through it, the way Chuck Stiggins did it back then. And then, dude, he rolls into town, wants to work me out. Squats.
This is Kim
Woods.
Yeah.
Squats to failure.
Yeah.
So you throw on 2 plates, which is like a feather, right?
Right.
On each side. And all of a sudden you're doing freaking 50 squats. So it feels like a feather at first. And by the 40, 50 squats with 225 on your back, your legs are blowing up like a balloon and you're about puking your guts out, right? And so you go from working out fast twitch to some of the most training I've ever seen in my life in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right? They're just bass backwards, screwing you up, messing you up, right? You're like, good heck. And they do it. You have to do it or else you're fined or, they talk bad about you, the coaches. And so you're forced to do this crap. And yeah, that was really upsetting, for me as far as the training in the NFL. But man, dude, you want to puke your guts out, do squats into failure with a light weight, and you're used to doing 5s and 3s and 8s the most.
We did sit-ups and push-ups, and what was the other one we did? And his mindset was, this is so, because you were required as a whole team to have a workout like twice a week. So I think we did it on Mondays, Fridays, and it was just the dumbest stuff in the world. And he said, I'm not here to do elite training because I have to cater to the guy on this team so the lowest denominator, the guy who's the most out of shape, and we're just like, this stuff does nothing for anyone. It was the craziest thing that I'd ever said. All right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What do you like about the NFL today? Because it's evolved, it's changed. What is it that you like about it? You don't have to like anything, but what do you like?
It's not perfect, but what I really liked, like a few years ago, I went back and tried to get back in the NFL coaching. I interned at the Redskins. So I got to see the practice schedule now.
Right.
Scott, dude, you and I would play for 40 years. We would play forever. I'm happy with, to a point, that there's some sacrifices to it. Because we'd always complain back, once you're a veteran in the NFL, you don't need to, rookies maybe practiced harder, right? But then we hit way too much when I played, way too much. And it shortened guys' careers. I mean, we'd be in bloodbaths in the middle of the season in practice fighting each other because it would felt like you had to make the team every day, even during the season. And it would be throwdown time, man, because we'd all be going full speed. And now it's like I was the Redskins for all 2 days. I never saw them go full speed. Well, I mean, we did a day against the Texans where there's full speed and there's a bunch of fights, but practice, dude, I had Jay Gruden. Is that right? Wait, Jay's the quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
The offensive coordinator. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the Gruden brothers mixed up, but I had the nice brother, and he's a nice dude. Should have stayed offensive coordinator. Oh, totally nice. Not the total opposite of his brother, right?
Yeah.
Just nice guy, quiet guy. Offensive coordinator, should have been head coach. I really liked him, but discipline was like almost zero. And the players, one day he's like, hey, we had a hard practice this morning. And all it was like little spider straps on their shoulders and kind of leaning against each other. He goes, we're taking this afternoon off. This is during 2 days, dude. I was like, what? I think of the other veteran next to me, we're both interns, and we're like, what the heck is this? So the NFL needs more discipline. I'm sure that's still by coach. Because there'd be guys during film, they'd be in there texting each other or texting somebody on their phones. They'd have their phones with them and film. And I'm like, dude, I would cut your butt in a heartbeat with Joe Gibbs. You're gone. So my point is, I like them laying off and practicing the way they do to a point, because the players are so much healthier in your heads. There's not as much head damage as we had to go through, right? So they've done a good job protecting the head, and I think it was required. It was, because I've got two dear friends of mine that played with the NFL that are really suffering with, dementia, onset dementia and stuff. Crumble, one of them, is really fighting the brain damage. Yeah, when I talk to Timmy, man, he's having a rough time, and I'm glad they've laid off, and the hitting is so much better. They're extending careers. The league is healthier because of it. They tackle much worse because of it. There's really poor tackling. That's probably the biggest effect. One of the biggest downsides to it is tackling is pretty poor. But I like the health of it. So I'd say that's an improvement. And the science of training has gotten better, right? It wasn't as dumb as when you and I had the weight coaches, doing the 12-minute run or whatever. Just the owner hired their friend out of town to be the weight coach.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's like, honestly, it was like, I mean, dude, my D-line coach, I got to tell you the funniest story. When you think the NFL is great people, it's not always great. Some teams are, some coaches are, but you could have the worst coach on planet Earth show up in the NFL, and you're wondering, how did this guy get to coach me, right?
Yeah.
And we all know it. You
Yeah.
have an awesome coach. You'll have a complete idiot that shouldn't be on a little league field, allowed around people.
No
and
question.
so this guy, dude, I'm in the NFL, right? Third, multiple years of my career, and we're getting ready. Oh, it was Urbanics before the Super Bowl. And he lines up the D-line, all NFL guys, all the best in the game. We're on our way to the Super Bowl, and he has us doing bull in the ring. He lines us up and does bull in the ring. So I'm standing in the circle, and I got Crumble over here and Scow over there, and another these NFL linemen were all circled around me. And he's blowing the whistle, and you're sitting there spinning, trying to keep some dude from freaking knocking your ass off, right? Bull in the ring in the NFL. Yeah. I mean, I was like, man, what am I doing here?
You should have played a different position, Jason, because I never had to do the bull in the ring as a quarterback. It was just, it's just not a thing. Like, we never did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You didn't get anything that bad, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I woke up in a bad sci-fi horror movie.
Yeah. The coaches you have, boy, they are interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to shift a little bit. I want to get personal with Jason Buck here for a bit. So I'm going to ask you some personal questions.
Uh-oh.
And you got to tell me the truth. All right. No lying to me.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So you went from spud to stud. You grew up in Idaho, of course, known for its great potatoes. I believe you grew up on a potato farm. But what was the best part of growing up in Idaho?
Oh gosh.
Not everything, just the best part.
When you're growing up and digging ditches, the breaker bar and the cobble rock and stuff, you don't think about it. But looking back on it, you know what, dude? It was just so innocent and free. I mean, it's just, I literally lived in a Beverly Hillbillies movie. I mean, it was just like jumping in the canals, working chores, I mean, just run free for miles. We had 2 TV stations, a little coat hanger for an antenna. You had nothing but work and dreams, And I mean, for me, looking back on it, at the time, I walked around with a chip on my shoulder, ready to fight anybody that walked by me because, the Cowboys were spitting on me and hated me because I was a Mormon and, I had nothing and my family was poor. And, there's that part of it. But I look back on it and I'm like, I'm so thankful for Idaho. Overall, just good people. And it was just old America, pioneer attitude, accountable. And if you, didn't just strap up your boots and pull them up and go back to work, nobody felt sorry for you, right? You just get out there and work. And humble, good people. Also go to, my hometown of St. Anthony, where you think everybody would know me, where I graduated high school from. And, you'll have somebody walk up to you at the, I'll put on a little Southeastern local accent. When you're going through the grocery store for the 24th of July and somebody walks up, you're that big fella, aren't you? I'm like, yeah. So you played that big game? I'm like, you mean the Super Bowl? He's like, yeah, that big game. All right, nice to meet you. I'm like, all right. It's Idaho, man. You gotta like it. Everybody wants to fight you if they don't know you. Everybody's gonna laugh about that, but everybody in Idaho fights, especially in the old days. If you're a new guy in town, everybody wants to fight you. Go in the gas station, you're an out-of-towner, you got Utah plates, they really want to fight you. So
yeah,
Idaho was awesome. It hasn't changed that much.
There's a rivalry between Utah and Idaho.
Oh.
And a lot of it stems around driving. Actually.
Totally.
Like
you guys didn't know we called you carrot snappers?
Yeah, I don't even know what that means, but
because in 1920s, Utah used to raise a lot of carrots.
Okay.
So I grew up in Idaho, and you saw Utah plates. You're always like carrot snapper.
Yeah.
That was the big thing, right?
Yeah.
And
see, I see people
nice car, nice tires, man. We don't like you.
Yeah, I see people with Idaho license plates in Utah, and it's like, move over. You're driving too slow. Get out of the way.
Oh, they're having a heart attack. They're having a heart attack, right? Like, we're going to go down to Utah, down I-15. and it's scaring them to death.
Big scary kid. So what is it you love most about your wife?
Oh, dude, you are. I mean, you know what? I was
The thing you love the most.
gosh. Go ahead, dude. I can't do. You know what? Her humility, Roxy. Everybody that sees Roxy and how beautiful she is thinks I married this, NFL cheerleader or starlet or something like that because I was the NFL guy. But I married my little high school sweetheart. I moved into town. She was a sophomore. I was a senior, and her parents were school teachers. And dude, she is, well, just besides, like I said, looking like some Hollywood star, she's so beautiful. She's a small town Idaho girl, and all she wanted was to raise a beautiful family and be a wonderful mom. And
She's got a great voice, by the way.
she's a little singer, man.
I did not know that, and I found this out recently that your wife has a very lovely voice.
That's right. I forgot we were doing. We did the
Karaoke.
at your house.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun New Year's Eve, by the way. But yeah, Roxy's a singer, man. But dude, I'm spoiled, guys. She cooks. Loves cooking. 3 meals a day, whatever, comfort. If I'm home, I got a lunch. If I'm home, I got a breakfast. We got dinner. I might grill a lot, but our kids are all over the house for mom's cooking. I mean, my little Idaho wife cooks and perfect little mom. So humility, we always tell our kids, they're all married off now, but anybody has marriage problems, we're like, dude, go find a little Idaho farm girl. Get some humility. There's a joke from Manti, Scott, when I farmed in Manti.
Uh-huh.
All the locals in Manti go, marry a girl from Sanpete County. This is the Sanpete joke. Marry a girl from Sanpete County. And I'm like, why? Because I just bought this farm after I got with the Redskins down in Sanpete. And everybody, they're like, because no matter where they go in the world, they've always had it worse. That's the local joke in Sanpete County, right? They're like, and they're like small town Idaho girls, rural girls that were just humble and didn't have much. And Roxy was awesome. I 42 years of marriage, brother.
Yeah, you guys are doing awesome.
42 years.
Impressed. So when do you lie?
Lie?
Yeah. Like in what situation? When do you lie?
I guess I could say I'm guilty of white lies, like to not hurt somebody's feelings.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I would
there
hold
you go.
back.
Yeah.
I would lie for my country if I was a spy. But
so
I'm not a liar. Matter of fact, I get in trouble. Scott, you know me. I'm in huge trouble all the time.
Yeah.
Because I speak the truth and I speak openly.
You don't have a filter. Yes.
I don't have a good filter. No. If you ask me truth, I give you truth. So but I do, to keep from hurting feelings, I'm guilty of some white lies. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like with your wife, you tell your wife a little white lies, not her feelings?
A little bit, like, me and Scott were together working, but we really weren't. We might have snuck out to a show or something or golfed or something.
Right.
That's my white lie.
I got you. Okay.
Or, if somebody just got hit with the ugly stick really bad, I might go, you know what? You look good today. I'm like, I'm guilty of that one.
Okay.
Like, the ugly stick, right? Like, I'm trying to be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that white lies are always the worst thing in the world either. So what talent do you wish you possessed that you don't now? The one, boy, I wish I could do that.
Dude. Talent. Okay. 2 things. One, I wish I could go back, my NFL years, my rookie year actually at best, with all the experience I have now, right?
Yeah.
Because I was not prepared mentally for the abuse and the horrible situation I was thrown into at the Bengals. I was very naive. I was coming from Lavelle Edwards,
Right.
treated with respect. And, I just had this picture of Vince Lombardi and Tom Landry, in the Ice Bowl and football. And all of a sudden I was in the most abusive, horrible situation on planet Earth. So I would obviously handled it a lot better than I did. I mean, I survived it, but I wasn't ready for it. So I wish I could go back with knowledge and everything that way. That's not really talent, I guess, but that was like my wish. But talent, I wish I had rhythm to dance.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
I was built, I get teased for not dancing worth of crap, right?
Yeah.
And I tell my wife, I'm like, I was built for violence. I was built as a war machine. I have no rhythm, right? And I'd always get teased for I'm not a good dancer. And I'd like to do that for my wife because she's an awesome dancer.
Yes.
And I just basically got to get out there and kind of just barely move and look good while my hot wife kind of, dances all around me.
So yeah. No, I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite Marvel action hero?
Oh,
Like who was your favorite?
Dude, I gotta go with Thor.
Thor. Why did I not know that?
Dude, I grew up walking with my gopher tail money, right? I'd trap gophers. You got paid 25 cents a gopher tail by the water district.
Okay.
So I had my little jar with gopher tails in it from trapping gophers, and that was my money. And I had to hide it from mom and dad because when they needed money, they'd come to all the kids and collect anything we had. So I get my 25 cents, and after my chores, I'd walk all the way into town, about 3 miles into Adrian. They had a little Merc, and they had comic books, and I'd walk down there, man. I'd buy my Thor comic book. Oh, because he was the big, Viking and Mjolnir, and you asked me all that stuff. I'm a Lord of the Rings nerd, Lord of the Rings, Thor, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Give me a Viking and a sword, or.
See, I'm a Superman person. I'm into, I
love Superman.
Be fun to fly, but
Yeah. I mean, I love Superman. Would have to be, he's absolutely up there at the top. The old traditional,
right?
When we were kids, Superman I loved absolutely, and Thor. Those are 100% my top two back then. I mean, the other stuff was fun, the Hulk and whatever, that you'd read or pick up a comic book, but I always went to Thor because I always knew my family was, I had a lot of Scandinavian and Northern England, and I always looked at myself. My mom talks about our Indian family on her side. My dad talks about this, Indians or the Scandinavian England side. And so I was either an Indian warrior or a Viking, growing up as a kid. Loved it all.
I could see you as Thor. All right. That's all I have. That's all I have for today. Really appreciate you coming on, and hope you have a great rest of your day, and hope you don't tell your wife any white lies. So there you go.
No white lies. And you know what, dude? When you and I, our bodies are resurrected and we're both in our prime, we're going to stand there 6'6", side by side with long Thor hair, with hammers, sword, and just like the Viking badasses we are.
Can't wait for that. Love it.
Distant brothers, man. 10th cousins. 9th.
I know. We are related.
We are.
Yeah. All right. Have a great day. Thank you, Jason. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.